How samurai legends shaped Rurouni Kenshin. Rurouni Kenshin wasn't just inspired by samurai history. It was carved directly from real legends that shaped the identity of Japan. Behind every sword swing, every scar, and every quiet smile is a piece of truth pulled from centuries of warriors, assassins, and forgotten heroes. Before Kenshin Himura existed on the page, a real wandering swordsman walked almost the same path. Historians believe Kenshin was partly modeled after Kawakami Gensai, one of the four hitokiri of the Bakumatsu, elite assassins whose names were whispered more like legends than people. Gensai's speed was so terrifyingly precise that people claimed his blade struck before even the wind could react. He completed missions in a single motion, leaving witnesses unsure if the attack had even happened until everything fell silent. Just like Kenshin, Gensai wasn't a loud or imposing figure. He was described as soft-spoken, almost shy, gentle in manner, and yet feared for abilities no one else could match. That contradiction, kindness wrapped around lethal skill, became one of Kenshin's defining traits. It's one reason the character feels so real. He wasn't imagined from thin air. He was sculpted from a man who lived in the spaces between history and myth. But there's another twist that makes Kenshin more than a reflection of Gensai. Kenshin's vow never to kill mirrors a real philosophical shift among swordsmen who survived the Bakumatsu era. After decades of violence, civil conflict, and political assassinations, many samurai emerged traumatized by what they had become. Some renounced killing entirely. Others threw away their swords. A few turned their skills toward protecting the powerless instead of serving the powerful. Kenshin represents this moral evolution. The moment a warrior realizes the greatest victory is choosing not to take a life. Even his iconic weapon, the reverse blade sword, wasn't pure fantasy. Stories from the era told of smiths who crafted symbolic blades meant not for war, but for redemption. These weapons represented a warrior's final break from the cycle of bloodshed. They were reminders that the sword, once a tool of death, could become a discipline of restraint. Kenshin's Sakabat became a metaphor for a nation learning to move forward without repeating the violence that built it. Kenshin's wandering lifestyle came from another deeply historical reality. After the fall of the samurai class, thousands of Ronin walked across Japan, unsure of who they were without their swords or their lords. Some became bodyguards. Some became criminals. Many simply walked. They searched for purpose in a world that no longer needed them. Kenshin embodies that sense of drifting identity, the feeling of being tied to a past that no longer fits and a future that hasn't been found yet. And the villains of Rurouni Kenshin weren't exaggerated caricatures. They were reflections of the shadows cast by Japan's transformation. Characters like Shishio are symbolic of what happens when governments use warriors for their convenience and discard them when they become inconvenient. Shishio's scars, his hatred, his thirst for power, they echo real stories of fighters abandoned by the new regime. These men were trained to kill, then erased from history. Some rebelled. Some sought revenge. Some believed the new era betrayed the old one. Shishio represents the anger of those who felt left behind by progress. Other antagonists in the series also reflect historical tensions. The Meiji government that struggles to stabilize a rapidly changing nation. Revolutionaries who feel their ideals were twisted or forgotten. Former samurai who refuse to accept a world ruled by law instead of the sword. Each enemy Kenshin faces represents a different wound carved into Japan during the transition from feudal rule to modern society. That's why Rurouni Kenshin isn't just a samurai story. It's a mirror of Japan's struggle between tradition and transformation. It captures the moment when an entire nation had to decide whether to cling to the past or walk toward a future shaped by peace. Kenshin stands in the middle of that crossroads. He carries the guilt of the old era on his back and the hope of the new era in his hands. Every duel he fights is deeper than steel. Every scar reminds him and us that violence always leaves a trace. Every step he takes is an attempt to repay a debt that can't truly be repaid. And every choice he makes carries the weight of real samurai who lived, loved, fought, doubted, and ultimately regretted what their swords had done. The reason the legend feels powerful is simple. It's rooted in truth. Kenshin's journey is not just fictional redemption, it's symbolic redemption for the warriors of an entire generation. A generation caught in the violent collapse of one world and the uncertain birth of another. A generation searching for forgiveness in a time when forgiveness was rare. Rurouni Kenshin endures because it reminds us of something universal. No matter how dark your past is, no matter how many mistakes stain your hands, the future is still something you can shape. Redemption isn't easy, it isn't quick, it isn't guaranteed. But choosing to walk that path, choosing to be better than your worst moment, is the hardest and most beautiful battle a person can fight. That's the real legacy behind Kenshin Himura. A reminder that a warrior's greatest strength isn't the blade he carries. It's the heart that controls it. Leave a comment below, share, like, follow, and subscribe for more.